أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Medieval women maintained active roles in their societies that went beyond the scope of the household. Managing markets and dealing in real estate were primary occupations for women throughout the Islamic Empire. Records show that property was bought and sold by women more often than by men, and in 18th century Egypt, women invested in long-distance trade for spices, textile productions and artisans' workshops, storehouses, apartment complexes, cafes, and coffee, and were often merchants and physicians. Some women, like Fatima al-Fudailiyah from the 12th century, even founded colleges and libraries. Muslim women added a significant amount of knowledge and played an active role in opening the first hospitals. The early hospitals funded by women were developed in the Abbasid dynasty and had outpatient facilities, dispensaries, special quarters for the mentally ill, surgical theaters, and separate wards for different diseases. There were not many women involved in early medical fields. However, the ones that participated were heavily engaged in traditional healing arts that helped educate the doctors about herbs and pharmacology. Women often practiced alongside their fathers or husbands as physicians and would take the role of military nurses in wartime. Aisha bint Muhammad was married to the famous judge Musli al-Din and taught traditions to students. She became a professor at the Salihiyah College in Damascus. Asma bint Kamal al-Din was so highly revered that she was consulted by sultans and other government officials, and her recommendations were always accepted. Asma also lectured on hadith and trained women in the Islamic sciences. Amra bin Abdurrahman was revered by the great scholars and judges of her time as an accomplished jurist, mufti, and hadith specialist. When Amra spoke about an issue, her words were taken as mandate, and the courts listened and followed what she said without question. The great Imam Zuri, the man said to have collected the first systematic compilation of hadith, used to say, "Go to Amra, she's the vessel of hadith." Halima al-Mawaziyah was the best authority of al-Bukhari teachings. She learned from the male scholar Abu al-Haytham al-Kushmihani and other greats of the time. Her name appears in many ijazas, further proving her popularity as a renowned religious scholar. Karima lived in Mecca her entire life, never married, which is uncommon in the Arab world, and lived to be 100 years old. Aisha bint Abdul Hadi taught in the Grand Mosque of Damascus and was appointed by the Sultan as the master of hadith. She also taught al-Bukhari compilations. It was said that Aisha represented the whole community and they could not find any man better than her. A famous male scholar, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, considered to be the greatest of latter-day hadith scholars, traveled to Damascus to study more than 100 books with her. Aisha is said to be the most impressive narrator of hadith from her generation back to the prophets. Layla al-Akhyaliyah wrote 50 short poems and many elegies dedicated to slain men and her lover. Born into a noble family in what is now known as Iraq, she was married to a man named Sahwa, but openly kept the lover Tawba. Her lover was an outlaw who she publicly defended and dedicated many of her works to. One poem she wrote, "He was honey. No, I see a beehive in his likeness." Layla challenged the gender-prescribed literary norms with one of her many panegyrics written for officials. This poem was written in a traditionally masculine writing style, but Layla reworked it to form a female version. Al-Kanza straddled the pre-Islamic and early Islamic period, meaning she was alive while the Prophet taught and died shortly after his death. She excelled in the genre of elegy with a repertoire of 200 short and medium elegies. Al-Kanza elegized her brothers Sakh and Muawiyah and incited tribesmen to take blood vengeance. Due to many elegies being dedicated to slain tribesmen, a large amount of her works, as well as many other female poets, open with the lines, "Eyes shedding tears," in an exhortation by the poetess herself to weep for the loss of loved ones. While she was exceedingly famous, Muhammad's wife Aisha and the Caliph Umar disapproved of her pre-Islamic poetry. But Al-Kanza defended that her poems pertain to the grief over her brother's death prior to Islam and her hopes that they will be able to find their way to paradise. Even though people close to him disagreed, the Prophet liked and defended her poetry, and with the death of her sons in war, Umar wrote to congratulate her on her heroism and even awarded her a pension. Al-Kanza visited Mecca every year to offer her verses in the Poets' Market. At one competition, a rival told her that she was the best woman poet, but she replied, "Don't you want to say I am the best poet, male or female?" This exemplifies her confidence as a woman and the inability for her gender to hinder her excellence of the poetic craft. On a list accumulated by anthologist Ibn Salah al-Jumayhi, Al-Kanza was ranked second within the 4 greatest poets of Rutha and was the only female on the list of 110.